Hello, you amazing people. You're listening to the Marketing and Coffee Podcast, the show that brings you the latest in marketing, especially in the UAE market, with your host, Lijo Itup.
Welcome, Uttara and Amitabh, to the Marketing and Coffee Podcast with Lijo. That's me. So I am privileged to introduce Amitabh Bose, who's the CEO of Middle East, and Uttara, to talk a little more about Amitabh. Amitabh has over 20 years of experience in research, leadership roles in MNCs and large family-owned businesses across India, UAE, Saudi, and Egypt. Out of the 15 years, he is in the EMEA region. He has worked in organizations like Henkel, Masafi, and Kantar. He has also helped launch Bisleri in UAE. One thing that was amazing has been that work in Henkel Arabia has come out in the case study of Philip Kotler in his latest edition. So amazing, Amitabh, on that. Also introducing Uttara. She's a consumer insights and strategy background, over 17 years of experience, almost having worked across the globe in UAE, KSA, China, and Southeast Asia. She has worked with General Mills, Henkel, Pepsi, TNS, and a family-owned business called NFS in regional roles. She has been part of a lot of product innovations and launches in foods and beverages. Colleagues call her the consumer barometer and is known to voice the bitter brand truth. That's amazing. So we'll see how bitter it is during the conversation today with Uttara, in case it doesn't solve the consumer problem. So we'll hear more of WOOP during the conversation. So, Amitabh.
Hi, thanks for having us over, and thanks for reminding me about the whole work that we did in Henkel. It was really a great experience and a surprise to see it on Kotler. So yeah, there was the hard work of the whole team. It was just all things falling into place at the right time. There was a strategy. We had the time to execute the strategy. There was like no other way out of it. We were fighting giants like P&G in Saudi. Successfully did it with a clear liquids innovation strategy, which was unique in many ways, and we could execute it. So it was 6 years of hard work of hundreds of people. Yeah, thanks. Good to see you. So how's it going?
Not bad at all. So very challenging times for every marketeer, I guess. There is no book to refer to anymore, or no experience to dig into for every marketeer. So I guess it's very exciting times for a marketeer to reinvent themselves and their brand. So Uttara, so how do you feel the transformation will be for the consumer?
First of all, Lijo, thanks for having me. Yes, as you said, it is interesting times. I mean, we always keep talking about, we should have, a finger on the pulse of the changing consumer. But in the last 3 months, even those assumptions and everything has been challenged. So there is a constant need to be, really on your toes to know what they are feeling, what they are doing, and try to preempt and see how we as marketeers and brands can still stay relevant to them. Because suddenly the priorities have shifted. Earlier it was maybe I had a lot of money, a lot of time, and now things seem like everything in short supply. So I think it's important to just revisit everything. We still need to keep talking to the consumer. Maybe that mechanism has changed. It's all moving digital, and we would be talking more about that in the conversation. So it's about changing the way you listen to the consumer and see how you can preempt and still stay relevant for her.
Awesome. So I guess the group that you work for is very actively involved in the nano-influencer space. So how is nano-influencer any different from the way influencers are? What is so special? What are the things that a nano-influencer is about?
Yeah. So I think, today's day, we have a lot of these terminologies floating around, and it can be quite confusing uh, for someone. But broadly, the way it spaces out is that influencers are people with a large fan following. So they are celebrities, semi-celebrities, and so on, who know a lot of people, and anything that they do are visible to kind of millions of people. The way nano influencers differ are people just like me and you. So it is about influencing the set of people that you know outside of social media. So they've had some kind of interaction with you outside Facebook, outside LinkedIn, outside Insta and Twitter. So that is a one broad difference. How does it fan out is simply that these are people whom you know and trust. So therefore, the whole overcoming the trust deficit, it is really helped with what we do. The third key differentiation is we really talking about people who've had some experience with the product. Like me and you would really talk about a topic or a product experience or a brand experience that we've had. We will not start talking about things that we don't know about. So that also builds up trust within your circle. So that is a key differentiation between how influencers work versus advocates, nano influencers, micro influencers, and so on.
Yeah, just to add to what he says, these are probably the people you would have on your phone list that you can call up and tell them. And because it's so much more personal, you will say, listen, I use this and I can vouch for it. That kind of a personal guarantee, that trust, that's what is kind of the tipping factor for a nano influencer compared to an influencer, because they also, they do have that kind of a celebrity status. Yes, they are great at communicating and passing on awareness about the product and getting it to people at scale. But I think nano influencers have that little edge on the trust factor.
Interesting.
That in single word tells the client problem that we are trying to solve, which is again on to trust.
Interesting. So now with a lot of the consumer behavior especially in the last couple of months, shifting online, right? A lot of forced behavior changes online. How will this influencer thing play out now, considering that how will the word of mouth role play out in this new e-commerce led space? Will there be any huge spike, or do you think it's going to be just like it used to be before?
See, I think we'll have to take one step back and look at the change from a societal fault line perspective, as to what are the changes society is going through this. I mean, probably this is the first time after the Second World War where we are seeing a dramatic world event which is impacting everybody in the world. Yeah, so there has been a very clear impact. So at one end, we are sitting in our houses, yet we are connected much more to the world at large. So we are pretty much following what is happening in China, US, Australia, collating data, figuring out from where it is spreading from one country to another. Where are we as a country there? Where are we as a business there? And so on. So this particular web would have a huge impact on us. So we've got to see it from that point of view. Now that has an impact on three things, I would say. The first one is the way you would like to communicate with the world at large, the way you feel about things on the way at large, because your feelings about many things have changed. And the third thing is, given the resources that are available and the things that are not, certain trends would seem to accelerate faster. So within the context of these three things, we will have to view whether we call it digital, e-commerce, what we are buying, what we are saying, and so on. So what is going to happen if you look at this funnel is that people will start communicating with other people in a much more real way, which means that emotions become significantly more important. Gone are those days when you talk just price and convenience and then you kind of take it from there. Emotions become a key part of who we are and what we say. There would be a lot of other trends which were happening, like sustainability, caring for the world at large, green, brands with a purpose. All of these things suddenly has become more important. The way we communicate to our loved ones has become more important. And coincidentally, I would say again, coincidentally, in all of these, digital is playing a very, very large role. But the rules of engagement in digital remain subservient to the rules of societal faults or societal changes that are going to happen. So that is something that the brands need to keep in view. So it's not a short-term 3-month game which is going to happen. There's a change, a fad, something where we do and move on. I think what we are seeing is a long-term strategic or societal mind shift change, which brands need to be aware of more and more.
Interesting. Uttara, to your thing about being the bitter brand truth until unless does not solve the consumer problem. This nano influence as a category, how do you think it solves the problem for the? What is that thing that is solving the consumer problem as on date?
I think we've touched upon this before. It's the trust factor. Again, we are spoiled for choice on any category today, and why I should use a particular brand or why I should use a particular product, it really comes down to what does it do for me. And when you have multiple choices within a particular category, it then becomes, how is that brand relevant for me? Is it like, Amitabh was saying, is it a brand that has some purpose, which is close to my heart? Then I am a little more engaged to that brand. So, the nano influencers kind of compound this feeling. When I say that, look, you should be associated with this brand, or you should try this brand because they actually contribute, or they have a green footprint, or they're going to be doing good for the environment or good for the society. I think again, when brands talk to us, there is no longer that degree of trust anymore. When it comes from a consumer, when it comes from that nano influencer, it makes all the difference.
Yeah, and especially in these times where we do not trust the governments on what they're saying, data is not trusted. So somehow this trust deficit is what consumers are looking to overcome. They want reassurance, so reassurance comes from people rather than a celebrity or someone who is not close to you. So
I think the keyword here then is trust deficit. That's what it kind of overcomes to a large degree. That brings me to the organization that you run, which is WOOP. So let's start with the easy question. What does WOOP stand for?
So WOOP is an acronym for Women of Opinion. Women have always been opinionated. I think this platform just gives it, a medium for them to voice it on various matters, sometimes on things which they may be telling their close friends, but here is an opportunity to do it on a much larger scale and influence a lot more people.
Interesting. So how exactly does it work? I mean, like for a brand who wants to consider working with WOOP, how does it work?
Yeah. Amitabh, you are...
Okay, yeah, sure. See, the only difference is that we are doing what people do, like naturally. Like, Uttara put it very nicely where she said that people anyway speak about the brand, right? So where do you speak about your experiences and your brands? You speak on social media, right? Today we want to go on social media and talk about everything that we have. People are generally open to talking about their negative experiences. So if you have had a bad experience, you will go and go all over, social media speaking about it. If you've had a positive experience, you don't like to talk about it, right? So what we essentially do are two things. We nudge people to talk about all experiences, positive and negative. 1, 2 is we use social media, which is where anyways consumers are talking in a gamified way to make it interesting for people. So the key element in this is to do it within a framework that can be measured. Because one of the key client problems has always been that, look, I mean, I don't know what am I spending my dollar on. So here we work on KPIs which are predefined. So you know what you're spending on, you know what you'll be getting, you know exactly which advocate is saying what and what is the impact of that. So it's in a completely measured environment. And the other interesting element to nudge people is it is all based on a very strong psychological model. And one of the psychological model is the use of a CSR partner, motivated by what you are doing. And, I would leave it onto Uttara to speak more about it, being a woman herself.
Yes. As we were saying, we have a platform where a consumer or comes in of her own accord. So, there is a choice she has made to be a part of learning more about a campaign that is, hosted on a WOOP platform. Here she can have brand experiences where, the brand could educate her more about what they have, let her try a few products, but by doing this, while she's doing this, which is in a very gamified fashion, it's just like the games where we say, you go from level 1 to 2, 2 to 3, you will earn points. So there is a reason for her to go from one level to the other. On the other hand, the points that she's accumulating, this also contributes to a social cost. So, in her mind, she's just not doing this for the sample, There is another reason wherein she's contributing to the education of a girl child, so we support an NGO in India, Nanhi Kali, which looks after the girl child education for underprivileged girl children there. And so every time she completes these tasks, she not only gets to spend some interesting time learning about new products, which an ad would never be able to do. A 30-second ad versus, a brand engagement that, which takes you about 3 minutes is very different. Then she's able to experience the brand and come back with an opinion, whether, it was good, bad, moderate, she's able to voice that and also contribute to the society. So, there are these three aspects, which just is the reason why she is more motivated to keep coming back to this community. And
the societal part is very unique to us, and it has been a very integral part of what we do. Because one is, as we all know, women are more psychologically oriented towards people in need. It clearly motivates them to do much more things. And more so, for us, it is clearly that it's a haves versus have-nots. There is this 1% of people or 5% of people who have everything. They are our regular consumers. And it is the have-nots whom we have to move out of that and make them consumers. So the have-nots are your consumers for the next generation. So,
okay. And this is something that goes from WOOP. I mean, because, we do know and we do understand that clients have their own protocols and policies when it comes to doing social, what social causes they can be associated with. This is nothing to do with the brand. It goes through WOOP, because the community is managed by us. Every time a woman in the community does a few tasks, whatever points she accumulates, basis that we contribute to this social cause.
Interesting. So which are the brands that you guys have worked for with this WOOP?
So what I'll do is take this opportunity to give you a quick intro about WOOP as a company globally. So we have operations across the world in both developing and developed countries. So we have very large communities in Philippines, India, Russia, here now. And we work with the P&Gs, the Unilevers, Reckitt's of the world globally. So all the top CPG companies and with a lot of mother and child brands. So and WOOP is relevant for any category where word of mouth is important. So any category that you can think that people would want the views of others are areas and industries that we worked in. Philips is again a global brand. We do a lot of work with Reckitt's across the world, from China, Malaysia. We also have smaller panels in Indonesia, Malaysia, and all. So it's a global company as such. And we've worked with about 50% of your top 50 companies in the world. So
that sounds good. So I principally, there seems to be a lot of value that a brand can get. I work a lot with SMB clients. Is there any case study that you can mention that would be like inspiring for them to adopt ahead of the curve, which I personally feel is going to work well for them?
Okay, let me quickly take you through a particular case in India. See, in India, we have a very large community. Our community size is about 400,000
plus, counting.
Yeah, 400,000 plus and counting. And we also have Facebook groups within those. So we have a mothers group where it has been where we have recruited moms, and it is just the mothers speaking to other mothers within a closed Facebook group.
Wow.
So it's not us intervening in the communication. So it's absolutely organic growth and organic communication, which is happening on topics of interest and relevant to them. So in India, we have worked with a brand which is again for small babies, where we've asked mothers to talk about their motherhood problems, and mothers have been very, very open and have spoken about it. So any SMB who has a solution which is pretty much targeted to a particular group can leverage closed Facebook groups. But yeah, it needs to be pretty much a targeted positioning, a very relevant TG. So this is one example. The other example is that we have worked with Reckitt's a lot. And again, if you see some of the Reckitt's campaigns, they have been all about telling the mom or teaching the mom how to use disinfection, or how to ensure that the house is germ-free. And we've given out these messages in a lot of rural areas in a whole lot of countries in Asia. So these are two examples which come to mind with relevant targeted solutions at pretty much a relevant targeted group, like say moms or young moms and so on.
Interesting. So a lot of the questions that do come to the mind is like, why invest into this compared to other channels? There's a lot of relevance for this channel by itself, and it's much more stronger. So how should any brand look at this?
Okay. See, any brand needs to see this as part of his media mix. And that's what we keep saying, that, there are always awareness creation tools like your mass media, your influencers to some extent, your digital marketing and so on. Where we come in is pretty much at the deep end of the funnel, where we mostly start off as we said earlier, by giving brand experiences. And brand experiences can be either through a sample or via brand education mission. So they know about the category as such, and they know about the larger industry as such, and therefore they are clearly more engaged with the brand. So therefore, whenever a brand needs higher levels of engagement, which is just prior to trial or usage, that is where a tool like WOOP can help a lot. And especially if you're talking about targeted sales or targeted sampling. And when you ask me that you work a lot with SMBs, so a lot of SMBs say, hey, listen, I don't want to go mass. I know who my TG is. I want to have an engagement with them where it's not a broad engagement, but a very pointed engagement by telling him, how am I different from the others? Now, there we can really help a brand reach or switch over or cross over on this tipping point of awareness and consideration to trial and a more deeper usage. So in short, we work on the deeper end of the brand funnel.
So on that question,
I think
go ahead.
Sorry. So we have data to now show that the top 2 reasons for trials are for a FMCG product, typically in retail is either promotion followed by word of mouth. So now, most of the brand guys, when you do a brand tracker, you want to see how many people are aware, how many people have tried, considered, purchased, and so on. And then right on top of that pyramid, you have the recommendation bucket, right? Which is where we want to affect and see how you want to make that bigger. Now, here is in our community, you are going to actually get the consumers to try the sample in most cases. So it's not a stated response where you have just gone and done a brand study and said, okay, out of my base, I know some 7% recommend us. Over here, when we put the people through the funnel and give them the brand to experience, at the end of a study, which would typically take anywhere between say 6 to 8 weeks, you would have a clear understanding of when you push those 1,000 people through, how many of them have had the positive responses, which could also actually help you to make testimonials and such. If they have had a chance to try your sample and 99% like the benefit or they like the product experience, here is another chance for you to use it as a marketing tool to communicate. So there are some advantages of this is more immediate, this is more tangible versus stated in a typical brand study that you would undertake.
Okay. So you can go for a targeted persona as per the brand requirement.
Yes.
Right. And do you only look at testing the product post-launch, or do you even look at pre-launch testing of different target groups, or is it just post-launch thing that you do?
So the platform has various things which you can do with it. There is the profiling part of the consumer. There is a brand education that you could do. You could nudge them to give user-generated content in terms of photos, videos, reviews, and so on. So okay. One of the things is getting feedback on the sample. Now, should there be a case where this is a product which is still under innovation and it is not yet in the market, it's possible to use the panel in a slightly different way. Use it like an online community where you would do a typical digital survey and get your response. It's possible to use that. So I think, in the panel has various elements. You could use it for advertising and education. You can use it for advocacy, and you can also use it for insights generation, which is incidentally are the three verticals that we are also working towards.
Interesting. So it's a lot to do with products which is essentially recommended by women. It's or would it be even for is there any for kids products? Is there any age group or that you go towards only for baby products, or for older kids also, for moms of older kids products exposure?
I think broadly it can be used for any product where the moms need to recommend. So whether it is young kids, it can even be for older kids, or women. Let's put it that way. It is even beyond moms. It is what the panel is about women. So wherever women's recommendation play a large role in the final brand buying process, we can work. So we work from cosmetics to food companies to snacking items to home care. So and some of these, again, kids are not involved at all. It is just to do with the women. So for example, we've just done a large campaign for Henkel which has to do with a detergent innovation that was there. So pretty much it was about the women themselves. So it's about you use a product, you share the experience because it's within a trusted circle. People trust that experience. People see that you have used it, and you are positive about it. So there is a general tendency for that brand to be more salient in your mind. But yeah, having said that, some of our most or biggest success cases has been in products where it is young mothers. So with kids, because that is a segment where it's a new experience, again, going back to the earlier conversation where we said that, look, societal fault lines are changing, which means that any place which is a new area for you, you tend to ask the significant other. So motherhood, when it is a new experience for you, you want to hear about the views of other, mothers. If you're traveling, you want to go and hear about the views of people who've been in that place, the do's and don'ts. So wherever experience plays a role, and it plays a role in almost everything that we do, and higher involved the category is, you would want to hear about those experiences, and that is what we do in a way, or that is what we actually do, in totality.
So this sounds. How can the people who are listening to it get in touch with you guys?
So great. I mean, it's quite simple. We have our email IDs, we have our website, we are based here, and we are always happy to hop across to any office to have a coffee, or in these days of social distancing, we can, order our coffees and speak on Zoom.
Excellent. So I guess the amount of interactions would have gone up considering the new way of working with clients, and I think the word of mouth has gone up more because people, even though social distancing, I think people are spending more time talking to each other, and the influence of what to do, what not to do has gone up considerably, considering that people have more time to listen to others than before.
Yes.
True. In fact, our first 3 clients in this region has been, Unilever's, Henkel, and Reckitt's. And we are speaking to all of them much more. We're speaking to a lot of other clients. We're speaking to certain big food clients like General Mills. And so there is a serious increase in the interest, driven by the fact that everything is digital. But even beyond that, it is that the conversations are changing to more trusted circles. And you will see that let me give you an example to highlight this. I mean, in the earlier days when you would have a birthday party, you would have it with everybody who's here. So say, for example, you're celebrating your son's birthday, it would be with his friends. Now, when you're celebrating your son's birthday, there is one birthday with his friends on Zoom. There is another birthday with all the grandparents and relatives and cousins coming in. And there is probably a third birthday with your friends here, because that is possible. Now, you can, because all these parties are only happening on Zoom, and you cannot mix, say, an offline birthday party with an online thing. So generally, the conversations are happening and you're expanding into, in some ways, your trusted circle. Without knowing it, you are reaching out to your trusted circle more and more. So correct. Brands have understood that. Brands also want to take care of this trust deficit by engaging into this trusted circle of real consumers talking about real experiences. So we are speaking to a lot more brands now.
Interesting. Sounds good. So all the best for making WOOP. Any closing comments that you want to leave with for the people who are listening in?
Yeah, we would, first say that everyone has an opinion. So why don't you reach out to us and see how we can make that opinion heard. Sometimes all it takes is a tweet or someone's comment to give birth to absolutely great marketing idea or an advertising campaign.
Absolutely.
So we have a community already available in the region whom you can talk to, bounce off the ideas. So why don't you give us a shout?
Yeah. Consumers trust consumers. So brands can trust us to take their brands forward.
Sounds good. Thanks, Amitabh. Thanks, Uttara. It was good speaking to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Lijo. Pleasure.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.